Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at the Kavalan Bourbon Cask Strength. At least that's what we call them in the States, Dustin.
Yep. Elsewhere, they get the Solist designation, but that's apparently some copyright law or something. Can't use it here in the States.
Yeah, so we can just get the ex-Bourbon Cask Strength. Comes in at 54.8% ABV. Comes in this nice leather case, Dustin. Where'd you get this?
Party Source.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's like $210 maybe. So I saw it and I was like, well, it's one of these Cask Strength deals. Comes with a little Glencairn in there, which we've got a non-Kavalan one in there just to show you guys. Because I'll be honest, mine's somewhere in my cabinets.
Yeah, we do the whiskey reviews here at my place, and
I figured the less glass I bring in my car when I'm driving up to Mike's, the safer out my whiskeys will be.
that's the idea. Anyway.
And there's already plenty of glass in my car, let me tell you. I brought a lot of whiskey today.
Yeah, the major freeway between Dustin and I has a unfortunate epidemic of left lane drivers who go at or below the speed limit. Always fun. Always fun. Anyway, a little rant for another time. Usually from this distillery, we love their sherry matured whiskey. So, Dustin, I made the comment in our last video that, oh no, I love sherried whiskeys from this distillery. And you said, no, they're all good. And I said, well, I don't really remember one. And you said, well, I got one. I'll bring it to you.
Yeah.
All right. So here's... to give you a little backstory about what we're doing and why we picked this particular whiskey, Dustin says it doesn't matter what the cask maturation is from this distillery. It's all epic. I wouldn't say that I don't believe in you, but we'll see.
You poured enough in that glass, Mike, where I think you believe me. If you ever watch these pours, Mike is definitely one to pour a little lighter when he's not particularly confident.
There's probably a program I can run to see how heavy I pour my drinks, and there's probably some correlation between that and my score, I would imagine. All right, Dustin, you picked up Cincinnati here recently. Anything else you can tell us about it?
Yeah, so again, because it is part of that soloist range, it's always going to be first fill. It's always going to be cask strength. This one I want to say is around the 6-year mark. I did the math at one point. It could be 5, but again, I forget exactly where the year is on here, how to do the quick comparison on the back. But
yeah, for the sake of transparency, the cask number is B as in boy 080825053. This is bottle 115 of 145, I believe.
Yeah.
And
this was bottled on March 31st of 2016. So, which is weird because I picked this up not maybe 6 months ago, a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, in 2021.
And they'd just gotten it in, so.
Who knows?
I don't know. 2021, they got a 5-year-old bottle in.
Someone else's loss is our gain. We were happy to get our hands on it. I tell you what, man, this is a very, dirty gold, almost honey gold.
It's a dark color for just bourbon maturation.
Yeah, it is. When you say first fill, I would expect to be a bit more popping, but it's a strong bourbon note on this.
Well, we are coming off of, unfortunately, a very strong smelling whiskey that had a lot going on. So we are probably doing ourselves a little bit of a disservice, but I'm getting vanillas right away.
A lot of vanilla.
I'm getting a lot of candy. I am also getting a kind of a
strong oak note too.
Yeah, I was trying to describe the oak here. It's
very unique.
It's clean, but it's also very pungent.
Very woody. It's almost like a wisp of pine with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very strong smelling wood. Usually when I think of clean wood, I think of very low smell. I think of like, just your fresh furniture or something where it's, polished. And then I want to think of like unrefined oak. I think of more like something freshly cut at like, your Home Depot.
Yeah, there's a cedar kind of note to this wood, but almost like a Japanese pine needle or pine cone note to it as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little hint of nuttiness.
And what I mean by that is what I get out of Japanese whiskeys, that little the pine note.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not an expert in trees.
I can tell you right now, this is not coming off as sweet as it traditionally does for me. And I think, again, it's just going from some sweeter whiskeys before this one.
It's a different sweetness, man. I mean,
it is.
I'm actually getting a couple of Christmas cookie type notes to this.
There's frosting on here, actually. There's absolutely, really nice, like almost like a French vanilla frosting.
Yeah. Just like a plain vanilla cookie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With just like, again, a nice whipped cream frosting on top.
It's amazing how many different ways you can describe vanilla. And when you really start thinking about it, it's like they're distinctly different.
For sure. Again, you're right. This isn't just, essence of vanilla or vanilla in a milkshake. This is distinctly pastry, whipped cream type vanilla. icing vanilla.
It's buttery too.
You know when that you say that.
It is very buttery. Like it's actually got these like, it's some kind of baked cookie that they used a lot of butter, and you can still smell the butter.
I say baked cookies out with spring bacon. It's not that type of cookie. It's a very clean cookie for a child, you would say. Very sweet, nothing off-putting, nothing dangerous about this cookie. Again, almost like a vanilla type wafer, or like just a plain type cookie with just beautiful vanilla sugar over top, and maybe some sprinkles even.
I don't get the waxy note from the sprinkle, but yeah. Oh man, there's a little toastedness to this as well. Like, actually, it's honestly just like a wheat toast. Wheat toast, that vanilla, the butter. I mean, I'm telling you, this is so buttered.
But it's so soft and so creamy. The whole thing is just very dense, but also forgiving.
This is fairly high ABV, I believe.
54 something?
54.8. Okay, it's not quite as high as I was thinking, but doesn't really nose like it's that high.
55 is strong. It does. Again, remember I just said soft and forgiving? Mm-hmm. All those flavors are there, but they just have this overcoat from the wood of just... The oak note is just kind of drenched over everything and not letting anything get out of control. It's almost like a fence around the whole experience.
Hopping to this one.
Yeah, it almost just made me hear at the end just a bit of citrus, vanilla citrus, and just at the end, again, maybe a little bit of burnt cedar chip.
All right, Mike. You said citrus, and as soon as I tasted this thing, beautiful citrus notes come out. Not really distinct. I mean, it reminds me of like the pH of an orange versus like a lemon. It's not orange. Beautiful citrus that moves into this like mellow, creamy, like vanilla and fruit kind of thing put together. Again, citrus, like savory tropical, if that makes any sense. It has that little bit of that buttered pastry that we were talking about throughout it. Toasted oak. Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, almost like vanilla custard. And there's something very light and lemony about it. Like a very light lemon. It's just an airy note, too.
Yeah.
On top of that, the wood note's extremely present. The citrus, you're right, as soon as you swallow, just citrus carved a hole right down the middle of the experience. Mm-hmm. I think maybe a lime, a light lime. It's almost like a lime or something like in a mix with some butter and cream. Man, I mean, I wouldn't say I like it as much as the sherry cask matured whiskeys, but there is a lot going on with this particular one. And plus, it leaves a good sting on the sides too.
Yeah.
Again, it's just popping vanilla, and again covered with that nice vanilla oak note.
But you know what? Instantly, it tells me is that those Kavalans that we love so much. They're not the result of just epic sherry casks. It's excellent malt underlying those epic sherry bombs.
And good overall conditions.
Yeah.
Well, or it could just be they pick just as good a bourbon cask as they do sherry casks.
Those citruses we're getting here,
that's
not coming from the bourbon. That's coming from their malt.
I would agree. It's probably enhanced by the wood to some degree.
I'm sure this is excellent oak, but they don't use crappy oak for anything they do, so it's hard to even like... Yeah, what are you going to criticize them for?
For sure. You do get more of the distillery characteristic with a bourbon whiskey, so we are picking up more of what is really at the core of this distillery. And there are a few pieces of this whiskey that reminds me of traditional Japanese whiskeys, like a Kushu or Yamazaki, something like that. I don't really get the rice wine notes, but I do get that pine note in this.
Water did this thing magic, Mike.
And the fact that, there are a few different components to this, or not a few different, many different components to it, it's nice as well. Again, with the light lemons and things. Remember I said kind of the oak overcoat didn't let anything get out of control and it was like a fence around it? That's what I mean, is it doesn't let anything overly dominate the experience. But I know you want to get into something.
Sorry, I just...
Yeah, get it to me.
Knows it, man. I put 2 drops of water in this one, full disclosure, guys. So I didn't go light. And it has exploded. The citrus is now up front, forward, and it's right there with this beautiful oak. And again, it's this firm. It's like a very fine cedar, like a high quality, high end, beautiful cedar.
Yeah, I said cedar chips before. This is a beautiful cedar, smooth and just. I mean, this is just straight working in a cedar workshop right now. But the vanilla note is still there. But the wood cedar note is just That's really taken over the show.
I'm even now getting a little bit of like a puffed chocolate like cereal. No, a puffed peanut butter like cereal. Like, have you ever had those Reese's peanut butter puffs?
I have.
It's not the dark ones. It's like the browner ones. It's just got a little hint of that. I'm sure they smell the same being in the box, but I swear. There's certain notes I assume came from the brown one. Yeah, now it's got this light cocoa.
Yeah, this changes a significant amount with water. I mean, again, the cedar notes step back just a little bit, and you're right, there is some cocoa chocolate, like either cocoa or milk chocolate notes. But again, man, that pine note, walking through that pine and wood forest is right there, and it's specifically walking through it in fall.
I was thinking spring.
To each their own. The vanilla notes came back a little bit at this point.
Oh my goodness.
That's definitely the sweetness in here.
I love this citrus note that's coming through this whole thing. I mean, I'm getting a little bit of more lime, I think, on the nose now. Mm-hmm. A little bit of it's got a little bit of lemon lime. I was initially thinking almost like my mom used to use this stuff to clean like tables. That was like an orange something or other, mm-hmm. and not like right when you first poured it because that was intense. But like if you came back later, there was a little bit of that. This initially it had that before. With water though, it's lemon lime, but it's more lime.
Yeah, I mean it's an evolving whiskey. There's no doubt.
And it's almost starting to get a little bit tropical on the nose, Mike.
I could see mango.
I mean, it's not heavy, but it's just a little hints of starting to get into tropical notes.
Mango, tangerine peel, something like that. Tangerine oil, something like that.
Yeah, when I start nosing the vanilla, that's when I get the tangerine note coming in. So it's like citrusy, a little bit of oak, and then it comes in the vanilla with this slightly tropical fruit note.
It's almost like the weather around here. All you gotta do is wait a few minutes and it'll change.
Well, and that's the thing. You let this just sit in the glass for a minute. It builds up, and look at the legs on there. I don't know if you guys can see that, but those are long, and they are taking their time.
Yeah, right now it's almost getting like into chocolate-covered like blood orange. We're still with that vanilla and that oak note, though.
I really like that tangerine note you made there. Once you said that, I'm like, you know what?
I get on the linger, too, on the sides. Good whiskey.
Proven. Let's see this.
So, Dustin, inevitably, we have to unravel this and try to quantify it as best we can in the form of a score. Yeah. Not easy on this one.
No, because this isn't a masterpiece, Mike.
Nope.
Like it's not, it's not in your upper 90s or anything like that.
Nothing is.
No, but it's really good. I will say with water, the oak maybe takes on a little bit of a touch of a negative element. Mm-hmm. So for me, Mike, I'm going to give this an 89, but it's really close to a 90.
I'm in your same general ballpark. I'm an 88.
Okay.
It's a strong 88, though. Mm-hmm. I like what it did. I like how it danced around a few things. I still would prefer sherry with this malt for sure, but it was interesting to try it with an all bourbon.
Yeah.
It's like Springbank. It's like Springbank 12. I mean,
I
like all bourbon ones.
But let's be honest, we pretty much always like sherry in our whiskeys if it's really well done over bourbon. Sure. We got a few bottles. I mean, the Balvenie 15 is one we keep talking about.
We prefer bourbon over sherry, but you're right. That is not...
It's very unusual for us. And so what I would say is this. We know they're using epic sherry casks. Mm-hmm. We know these are really good bourbon casks. Mm-hmm. But I guess what I'm getting back to is the underlying malt in Kavalan is excellent, and this really opened my eyes to this is excellent malt.
It's better than I assumed it would have been.
Yeah.
Before I tried it. I agree with you on that.
Because I assumed in the past, they probably just have a really dull, simple malt that's malleable, and they just let it get saturated by sherry, and that's why they do all these finishings. But no.
Understandable. That still's good.
I mean, hey.
If that was the truth, whatever.
Yeah. You know what? I bet you their new make, honest to God, probably tastes pretty decent. Like, this is one of those distilleries where, like, I wouldn't mind trying it.
I agree. All right, so that's where we're at as far as the whiskey score. Dustin's 89.
89, yeah.
I'm an 88. Very close. Good whiskey. If you like, you're a fan of this distillery, it's worth your time. I would say that without a doubt. Mm-hmm. Those are our thoughts. If you guys had a chance to try this one, like to know what you thought. Only 145 bottles, but if you had another all bourbon Kavalan, let us know how close we were to that bottle. Until next time, Dustin, what do we wish the folks?
Happy drinking.
We'll see you then.